Am I the stinky star for not wanting coal for Christmas? This year I went to my fiance's house for Christmas. It was my first time going, as we would typically go to my family's house instead. I got a rather pricey gift for my fiance, Dan, related to his hobbies. I got nice gifts for Dan's parents based off things I'd talked about with him before, and I got a small pack of chocolates for each of Dan's other relatives. I don't know them as well. I wasn't expecting many gifts from Dan's relatives because I didn't know many of them that well, but I was certainly expecting more than I got. At first, I was excited when I saw that there was a big pile of gifts for me. However, once I opened the first one, it was just a piece of coal. Everyone laughed, and I just kind of laughed along, thinking it was a gag gift and that all the other gifts would be different. But every single one turned out to be coal. All 18 of them. I started to get upset, so I cried and lashed out at Dan, but he calmly explained apparently this is a long-standing tradition in his family where they gift coal to newcomers who are celebrating Christmas with them for the first time. He explained that it's just easier that way since all the relatives who might not know the newcomer well don't have to stress over finding a gift, and it's a fun experience for the newcomer as well, clearly. I told Dan that I couldn't believe I skipped my own family celebration for this and left. But now Dan and some of his family are blowing up my phone saying I embarrassed him in front of his relatives and that I made it awkward for everyone. So, am I the asshole? Dan. Why wouldn't Dan communicate this ahead of time? Why wouldn't Dan be like, oh, by the way, there's a long-standing tradition in my family where you're just gonna get a whole ton of coal? Would that not have avoided all of this? Every single bit of it. Is the other part of this long-standing tradition to not tell the newcomer that they're gonna just screw them over completely? Now, in a perfect world and in a vacuum, there shouldn't be any expectation about receiving anything, right? But coal? Isn't coal like an insult? Isn't coal like a middle finger of a gift? I gotta do some quick research here. Okay, so in the 19th and 20th centuries, coal was commonly burned to heat homes, so when Santa Claus came to visit, it was convenient to grab a lump to leave for children on his naughty list. Of course, Santa would never give children lumps of coal for Christmas unless they asked for it. So yeah, it's a big you of a gift. That's kind of a stupid tradition to just haze the person who's the newcomer here. But obviously there are some wonky traditions out there like 10-mile hike Christmas morning lady, eh? But this all could have been avoided if Dan had just filled her in first. That's it. If she would have known ahead of time, she probably wouldn't have gone to the lengths that she went to get these very thoughtful gifts for almost everybody, only to get the middle finger from every single one of them. This is 100% on Dan. OP, you are not the asshole at all here for leaving and for feeling hurt by this because you got 18 middle fingers from his entire family. How did Dan expect you to feel? How does the family expect you to feel? They just expect you to take it in the ass and be like, oh yeah, happy Christmas. I appreciate all the middle fingers you got me. No, they have to know better than that. And maybe there was an expectation from them that Dan would have informed you ahead of time. That seems like the logical thing here. I think this is all on Dan. You are not an asshole for this, OP. I can't imagine that anyone in your position wouldn't have felt hurt and would have reacted differently unless they knew about it ahead of time. That's it. This is a communication faux pas on Dan. I'm curious to see what some of the other comments on here are. Not the asshole. You skipped your family's Christmas for this, and they shouldn't have done this to you without a warning or your consent. Agreed. Just because they enjoy this tradition doesn't mean it can't be hurtful to you, and they clearly ruined the occasion and then gave you a stupid explanation. Agreed. Especially your fiance is considerate in all of this. You deserve better. This was legit humiliation. Yeah, it was hazing. How is that cool? How is everyone just okay with this? It's a tradition of hazing. I mean, in my family, like, we always gave the newcomer a hard time too, but not like this. It wasn't like a middle finger. There's good fun, and then there's hazing. There's humiliation. And I still say that this is 100% on Dan not communicating anything ahead of time. It's done up is what that is right there. But now you know what kind of family you would be marrying into, and you're engaged. So maybe time to rethink a lot of this. Dan, because this is 100% on Dan and his lack of communication, clarifying all of this and setting it right with everyone involved also needs to be on Dan, because if you don't set this right and smooth the seas ahead, you guys may not be getting married. And if you do get married, you're in for a turbulent future. So Dan, fix this shit, man. It's on you. You need to explain to the whole damn family that you didn't warn her first and that she put in a lot of time with very thoughtful gifts and feels very hurt by this, rightly so, and you didn't warn her. So it's all on you. And you probably need to go apologize to everybody, Dan. And you might have just cost yourself a fiance, Dan. If anybody should get a lump of coal next year, it's Dan.